not a flashy guy. He's not. He gets guys. He lives in the moment. He says that over and over. You hear his interviews. He always talks about living in the moment. And I think it's become a little bit infectious throughout the locker room. And you saw what he did last year. There's no reason why he can't do it again this year.
I think that Nick Foles can definitely take. I mean, why wouldn't he be able to take the Eagles back to the Super Bowl? Nick Foles, the biggest obstacle probably, while New Orleans is going to be huge, the Eagles are going to have to do a lot of good things to get to the Super Bowl, though.
You're not your Birds fan, huh?
I like those birds.
Yeah, dirty bird shirt.
No, never the dirty birds. I hate those birds, but I love the storyline. I think Foles, if you're the Eagles, all right, and if Nick Foles, wins one game,
championship playoff, championship game, I say you keep them and you trade fucking Wentz away. That's what I say. You know what you can do? We can get back for Wentz.
I think that if Nick Foles, I think I would have to agree with you that if he wins 2 games, so if they go to Chicago and win, right? And the Eagles are the lowest seed, so that means that they're going to New Orleans in the divisional round.
Right, in New Orleans, yeah.
So
come on.
If he goes to New Orleans and wins, how could you not go with Nick Foles? Carson Wentz is injury prone. He's proven that certain players are injury prone.
Clearly. Percy Harvin, ever heard of him?
How about Trent Richardson?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who else?
Sir.
There's one. I couldn't believe it whenever the guy in SportsCenter was talking about AP last night, and he said he's still doing it. The guy's he's a sports miracle. He's a medical miracle.
He didn't even show up today on the stat line. I don't think he had any positive yards today.
I'm not basing. I didn't watch a lot of football today. Apparently you did. The point is you gotta look at the body of work. You know this more than anything. The guy, he's 20. He was a rookie in 2007. So he's been doing it for how many years, Terry?
Yeah. Well, the thing about Adrian Peterson, though, is he has missed like 2 entire seasons.
Yeah, he did. And he's a dirtbag. Hey, let me pitch my food real quick. Yeah, and he beats his kids. I mean, he's a dirtbag.
This guy has like 7 different kids with like 5 different women. I mean, he's no saint.
Hi there, how you doing, dear? You know what? I made a mistake. If it's too late, I understand. But it's in the 10-piece additional that I get, 10 pieces. Is it possible to get a quarter pounder, or does it have to be cooked? Take time. So, okay, it would take too much time. Yeah? All right. Can you add bacon to it? Bacon?
You gonna get bacon with that sandwich?
A quarter pounder.
McDonald's? I haven't eaten there, and I don't even know. I don't eat McDonald's. Well, maybe I had some cheeseburgers from McDonald's the other day.
No, I want that instead of the extra 10 pieces. You know, I buy one, get one, I got 2 10 pieces. Are you aware? Oh, no.
So,
Thanks, man. You add bacon to the burger, right? Yeah, and onions. Onions come on it? Okay, cool. Thank you.
do they have White Castle down there in South Texas?
Sorry, my friend. No White Castle.
We don't have that down here. They're in South Florida. We have Crystals, and it's not nearly as good.
I have to wait for the fresh fries and nuggets anyway, right? Are they ready? Okay, cool. I'll just wait for the burger down there. Okay. Thank you.
So you're you're a bona fide Raiders fan.
Okay, thank you. What's up, Hector?
You're a bona fide Raiders fan. Where are the Raiders going to play football next season?
I read today talking about Timmenhoff. Where the hell's that? I don't know.
Where? England?
Yeah, Timmenhoff, the new park out there.
So,
Yeah, they're talking about doing an 8-game season out there, but that's not right for traveling purposes. How are we gonna do that? Come on, it's not fair because traveling much. It's more work. It's more draining on the body. It's more wear and tear. How's that possible?
yeah, I mean, they're not running the Concorde anymore, so I mean that's it's a pretty decent flight to go over there, especially when you're headquartered out in the West, where you're playing all these teams in in LA and.
I hear San Francisco. I hear Levi Stadium. I hear Candlestick. I hear the new. What's the new Candlestick called now?
Levi's. You were right.
No, that's where the Niners play.
Oh wait, the actual Candlestick Park.
No. Where do the San Francisco Giants play now with the big glove in the outfield? What's the name of the park? What's it called?
Oh, they're gonna play in. Well, it used to be called Pac-Bell. I don't know what it's called now. They're gonna play in that baseball stadium.
I heard a rumor of that too. I heard a bunch of shit. I don't know where yet.
I think that it would make sense for them to go play in the Coliseum.
Yeah, well, that's where the Rams were playing.
I also heard about San Antonio. You have.
Well, yeah. I mean, are you referring to in addition to the thought of them moving here last year?
Well, of course, but the Las Vegas long-term deal is set. But I've read that San Antonio is a realistic.
Oh, okay, 8 home games, gotcha.
Right, to play home games, or possibly more, because it doesn't look like Vegas is going to be ready at least at the beginning of 2020. I mean, well, we'll see. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long way away. So they play at the Alamo Dome, huh?
I've heard that that's a possibility. I've heard. Yeah, like you mentioned, a couple other parks. I mean, maybe San Diego even. I think they should look at Los Angeles. Go play in Pasadena. If the Coliseum won't have you, you have a fan base in Los Angeles.
It's the Rose Bowl. Yeah, there you go. I've been there, so you saw Troy Aikman play there.
You ever see the Raiders for the entire they were always in the Coliseum, right? When they were in Los Angeles, did they play any home games anywhere else?
No, the Coliseum, yeah. I've been there. It's a fucking great stadium. Fuck, it's huge.
It's pretty old. It's been there almost 100 years now. I think it was built in the 20s or 30s. It's pretty old.
Well, yeah, it's beautiful. I remember going to this. My first game I ever went to, Raiders Giants. New York Giants. LT was on the team. Bavaro was on the team. It was the fucking what's the white guy, the blonde hair, the coat? I mean
Sims.
Phil Sims. I mean, the team was Pepper Johnson.
That was a great team.
Fucking great team, dude. Who else? They had a couple other players. The defense, they were good. But and the Raiders lost 14-9. Raiders had Jay Schrader at quarterback. Fucking Todd Christensen, Marcus Allen. I think Tim Brown just broke in. Oh, it was sick.
That was like just coming off. After Madden, the team had a.
Bo Jackson was Bo. Oh no, was there?
The great Bo. So do you think the Eagles?
Sorry about that. Thank you. What's up?
You think the Eagles are coming out of the NFC? I think they have as good a shot as anybody else.
No, realistically, they can't. They're not as good as they were last year. They had everything fall perfect for last year, Terry. Everything felt perfect. And the Saints are much better. Saints are much more talented up and down the roster.
Right.
I don't see it. Not at home. Drew Brees is going to win second. He's going to get runner-up in the MVP race.
Well, yeah, and he's got to get there first. You got to beat the Bears. That's going to be a tough game. I'm sure the Bears will be favored.
Where are they playing?
That game's in Chicago, of course.
Wait, Saints are playing in Chicago?
No. I'm talking about the Eagles having to play Chicago first. The Eagles got to play the Bears next weekend.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, you have it all laid out better than I do. I didn't see the brackets yet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see, but fuck. I'm pissed with my fantasy, dude. Get this, I lost. Did you win any leagues?
I lost to my dad in the Klein League.
Oh, come on, Terry.
Yeah,
Dad, I used to like. It was fun playing with your dad. Play with you too. Those days were fun. Maybe we can get back into it next year.
Yeah, he came home with the money tonight, but it's all right, dude.
You guys would love to see the Justin Credibles back in, wouldn't you?
We'd love to see the Justin Chronicles back in the league, absolutely.
Your dad knows I'm a threat. Your old man knows that.
100%. You got to watch out for the Justin Chronicles.
We've talked about it, me and your dad. We've talked about it. Hey, your dad got me a job, Dad. Your dad got me a fucking job. He was my boss.
Yeah, he did all right over there for a little while, throwing out all that mail.
If I got a little behind, I was a little tired with the bar the night before. On Wednesday morning, I'm telling you, half my shit's going in the trash. I'm sorry, you must have lost it in the mail. No, you've always heard growing up, you always heard that phrase, I'm sorry, sir, must have got lost in the mail. And you always hear it's bullshit, you know what I mean? It's Steve, you're always like, okay, really, you got lost in the mail. It's the U.S. mail. I mean, how often, I can see maybe like once, not very often, but maybe like one out of every 1,000 pieces gets lost.
Right.
So, there's millions of pieces, so, I mean, either way, I see why some got lost in mail, because people like me were throwing the fucking shit in the trash, because they didn't want to work on it. It happens all the time.
Well, I know, hey, it happens,
I'm at 18 an hour over there, dude, and I work probably, I told you, I worked 3 or 4 hours out of the 8, or out of the 7.5. I really worked 3 or 4 at the most, because I didn't get started until after I had my bagel sandwich, my pork bowl and cheese. I go down there, and she just let us walk around, and I pretend like I'm working, and I'm saying hi to chicks all over the office, carrying paper in my hands. It looks like I'm busy. That was ridiculous. Boy took advantage of it.
You know how to pull off the hustle. You have the skill.
Totally took advantage of them. But eventually they caught up to me, and they didn't like my call time. They wanted my time for like 2 minutes. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, Justin, but your times are at 5:50, 5:30. I'm like, well, would you rather have I prefer quality over quantity. She's like, we want both. I'm like, well, that's impossible. Because people that run them off the phone, they don't get it done right, and then it generates a new call. So it generates another.
Right. They're just gonna call back.
Satisfy it once. So,
right. Shuffle some papers.
What are you doing now? Are you cooking? Bill told me you're cooking at Disneyland.
Yeah, well, Disney World.
What kind of kitchen? What restaurant?
At the 50s Primetime Cafe at the Hollywood Studios.
How do you like it?
I mean, it's tough work, man. You got to keep up. I'm certainly not. I'm not like the best person there, unlike my old job, but it's all good. I don't have to supervise a staff of 22 people, and half of them are just incompetent. So it's less stress.
I totally imagine that. Why'd you leave the other place?
Exactly that, because the stress. Disney, the pay was about the same, and when I look at a future, Disney needs people too. Disney is building a lot. It's great for me, my resume.
That's true. How far are you from your parents?
What's that?
How far are you from your parents?
Well, I mean, I haven't moved. I live like about a half hour, less than a half hour from my parents. I was just in my parents' house today. I usually go over to eat dinner on Sunday. So I'm less than a half hour from there, but I'm going to move closer to Disney next summer.
Really?
Well, yeah, as long as I'm still there. I mean, there are other stuff could come up, or Disney might give me the boot. Hopefully they don't.
All right.
Well, at least from, I shouldn't say boot from the company, but this particular job, I mean, you need to be I'm plenty seasoned as far as cooking experience for this particular position, but you talked about quality over quantity. I mean, I'm kind of being told the same thing where it's quantity over quality, and I'm gonna have to tell them like you said, there's a call back. When I put out plates that aren't sent back to me by the expo, that need to be wiped that need to be wiped off, or chicken needs to be put back in the proper position, or vegetables, things like that. So
you're gonna pursue this whole chef thing?
Yeah, I mean, for right now, I don't,
Rather than the intellectual, and I mean, you like the creative side of cooking, I imagine. So I thought you'd be wasting your intelligent brain and your computer skills.
It's possible. It's possible, but I think that
do you enjoy?
I think the opportunity for advancement is what I'm kind of focused on.
So you're trying to be a head chef? That's what I'm saying. You're trying to be a head chef?
I'm trying to move up the ladder. If head chef is it, I mean, you can always bounce around to other positions. Go back to front of house maybe. But there's just not that many great cooks. I mean, I'm being
You're wasting talent, huh?
I think I have a lot of talents. I mean, I might be a yeah. I mean, I might be a jack of all trades, master of none. I mean, not that that might be a unfortunate label, but I mean, I can handle certain stuff. Yeah. I mean, the kitchen is. I'm still very much learning in there. I mean, I'm not like freaking Newman, who cooks for Robert Irvine. Yeah, Newman's kicking butt.
Where's he at?
He works like all over the place. Newman was just here cooking in Disney for Robert Irvine, who was contracted by Gary Sinise to cook this convention down here. I met up with Newman a couple weeks ago. I hadn't seen him in over 10 years.
Wow.
So he was down in Disney. Dude, every week I know somebody down in Disney. There's not a day that I don't have a friend that's down here. I mean, everybody comes down to Disney at one point or another with their kids, on their,
I know.
with a girlfriend, whatever.
I know. All right.
So.
Injection.
So do you think, how do you feel about John Gruden? Gruden is your guy? Chucky?
Love.
You trust Gruden?
I'll stick with him. I believe in Chucky. Last time we had success with him. Right or wrong.
I mean, they certainly are loading up on the draft picks. He's going to turn this team into, his image.
Cleaning house. Yeah, you unloaded them all. You're right.
Well, they finished up a little stronger. I mean, even today, today they sucked, but the last couple of weeks they competed. They won a couple of games.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd lose them all to get a better pick. So it looks like we're gonna get the third or fourth. So the Niners got one, and was it Niners or Cardinals? I'm not sure.
Might have been the Niners.
Yeah. So we're up in the top 5. So I don't know, who's this quarterback out of Oregon?
I don't know anything about him.
Supposed to be the best quarterback in the draft.
You talking about Stephen Schmidl?
Or maybe that Heisman guy. Maybe he took over as the number 1 guy. What's his name?
Nah, you never know. I mean, the climb on happens. I thought Josh Rosen was going to be the top quarterback pick last year. He was like the last one out of that big 5 or 6. And
who's the quarterback? Who just was in the Heisman top 3?
I don't pay attention to that kind of shit, dude, because the Heisman means nothing. So I don't really, I'll learn the Heisman winner's name at some point, but that doesn't mean anything to me.
If your team's looking for a quarterback, it does.
Yeah, a Heisman quarterback has not even appeared in the Super Bowl in something like 30 years.
Ever heard of Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I have. And the Browns had an amazing turnaround after they got rid of Hugh Jackson. So how do you not hold on to Greg Williams? And the presumption amongst professionals is that Greg Williams will not be the head coach of the Browns next year.
He's the leader of the bounty hunter.
I hate that because as a Vikings fan, I hate that whole story. But Cleveland was something like 2-6 when Greg Williams took over, and he's something like 5-1 since then, or something like that. They were 2-6-1, 1-6-1, something like that. But, you like Baker Mayfield? It's hard not to. It's hard not to. I think that he's going to be. I think his size is going to put a cap. And I know they say that about breeds. I don't think Baker Mayfield is as good as a quarterback as Drew Brees. I think that if you talk about a coach wanting to go somewhere, I think I would choose the Jets over the Browns. Darnold has all the tools. There's a rumor that Baltimore, or that there's a rumor that Cleveland is interested in trading for John Harbaugh. Yes.
He goes to the playoffs almost every year, doesn't he? He's announced early, but.
I mean, if you're Baltimore and they're willing to give you the John Gruden package, of like 2 first-rounders.
Yeah.
How do you pass that up?
Yeah. Good point, Erling.
Especially when you look at Baltimore, who I don't think has won a playoff game since they won the Super Bowl.
How does everybody feel about Adam Gase down there?
I think he's going to get fired.
He's done. I heard his press conference today. He sounded so boring and uninterested and beat and defeated. He had no excitement. You can tell he knew he was fired already. I mean, they didn't tell him after, but you can tell he knew it was coming.
I think that the ownership, at the very least, is going to force him to get rid of all his assistants, and if not, fire him ultimately. It sounds like my dad thinks he's going to get fired. I didn't think he was going to get fired until today, because they absolutely just. I forget who they were playing today, but they didn't show up.
No. Oh, yeah.
It's different than Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense had a renaissance the last 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe renaissance is overstating it. But Jacksonville played better over the course of the last couple of weeks, especially defensively. They have no quarterback, and that's not Doug Marone's fault.
No, they're developing quarterback.
They need to get a quarterback in there. Maybe it's Eli Manning. Or they trade up in the draft. Or maybe they get Carson Wentz. Or Nick.
Dolphins?
Yeah, no, the Jaguars.
Oh,
The Jaguars are a team that might only be a quarterback away.
Oh no, Eli Manning I think would be perfect. He'd go back and pair up with Tom Coughlin.
I think that they should look at Nick Foles or Carson Wentz first.
Oh, of course, no brainer.
And if you can get Nick Foles for a first-round pick, Nick Foles is a free agent.
And what about there's rumors that Carr could be traded? Why not Carr for them? Carr to Jacksonville.
I mean, if you as a Raiders fan are willing to accept to blow the whole thing up, I mean, I guess maybe you've done that already.
Yeah, I don't think Gruden likes Carr.
Yeah, well, John Gruden likes, Peterman. So I hope that doesn't become a thing.
John Gruden likes Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe a Foles.
I think that Nick Foles I think Nick Foles could work out in Oakland or wherever they play.
He can work out anywhere.
I mean, if Nick Foles in that complicated Chip Kelly offense can throw 27 touchdowns and get 2 interceptions, I would think that he'd be able to handle the John Gruden offense.
What went wrong with him in Kansas City? Is that where it went wrong?
Well, he was in San Diego first?
I know he was a backup in Kansas City.
I think he went to the Rams first from the Eagles. Or no, maybe it was... How did that work? Foles went to San Diego. Right. Foles went to the Rams, and the Eagles got Bradford.
Yeah.
Well, here, you want to know what went wrong with Nick Foles? Is he was paired with Jeff Fisher in St. Louis.
Jeff Fisher's horrible.
So, and then in Kansas City, he was behind Alex Smith, and
You're right.
It's hard to beat Alex Smith in a training camp competition, but when you put the guys on the field, I think the results are different. Nick Foles is a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, and you know what? Look what freaking Jeff Fisher did to the quarterback in the Rams his rookie year.
And look, Jeff Fisher couldn't do anything with Case Keenum. Case Keenum got to the NFC Championship game. And yes, you're talking about Jared Goff, and he didn't do anything either.
Everybody has flourished once they left Jeff Fisher. Everyone. What does that say?
Yeah, actually, I think what's-his-face Steve McNair had an MVP season in Baltimore after leaving Jeff Fisher.
Wow.
That was the year he split an MVP with Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Good point.
So, as much as I admire Jeff Fisher, and I do, I think that when you look at the facts, like what you pointed out, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, he's a quarterback killer.
He is. Foles, Keenum, Goff. Absolutely.
We just talked about it, yeah.
So, I think that the one problem for the Eagles is this. Nick Foles is going to cost more money next year than Carson Wentz.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So what do they do?
Because Wentz is still under that rookie contract. Well, if they get good draft picks for Wentz, then yeah, you're just going to have to take the cap hit on Foles. I don't think... And here's the other thing. If Nick Foles leads them to a Super Bowl, right, again, and wins the Super Bowl, are you going to have to pay him as the highest paid quarterback? You know, is he going to have to get Aaron Rodgers money?
No.
And what about Kirk Cousins' money? $29 million. Aaron Rodgers doesn't get much more than that, but you're going to have to pay him Kirk Cousins' money.
Mm-hmm.
$28 million a year.
Yeah. It's going right.
So, I don't know. I don't know the Eagles' cap situation. The only cap situation I know of right now is the Jets. The Jets are $95 million under the cap. So, that's an attractive situation. I have to see what the Eagles are. I'm sure they can afford Foles. You can always restructure people and backload contracts. You know, and convert people to signing bonuses. I don't know. I forget who the GM there is in Philadelphia. But I think if, like you said, if Foles wins 2 playoff games, and that includes beating the Saints, and then that gets you back to the NFC Championship game, which at that point would be against St. Louis or Dallas. And then, yeah, what if Foles beats the Cowboys? Something Carson Wentz couldn't do twice this season. You know, that's why I'm rooting for the drama. I love to see the drama. And at this point, obviously, I'm upset with the Bears. So.
What was that whole? What was going on with Thielen and?
Yeah, they had some disagreements. Thielen didn't run a great route. Sometimes they have the option routes. Thielen didn't run a great route, and that led to it was a fourth down, I believe, a fourth down that Cousins looked absolutely awful because he put the ball in the dirt.
Wow.
So, yeah, they were yelling at each other. They were fired up. Good. You're going to get upset.
How'd that work out?
Well, obviously, it didn't work out that great.
Did the Bears rest anybody today?
No. No, they played everybody full, all out.
That was personal.
Yes, but here's what you've done now. As the Bears, you knew that there was a 90% chance the Eagles were going to beat the Redskins. So you know, and you knew that there was a 90% chance the Rams were going to win. So, you know that by beating Minnesota, you are bringing Nick Foles into your building. So,
who would they rather help? Who would they rather help? Do they rather help the Eagles or help the Vikes?
Right. Who's going to come into your building next week and beat you? Minnesota or Philadelphia? So now you're facing Philadelphia, a team that won the Super Bowl last year, a team that knows adversity because they were wearing underdog masks throughout the playoffs, all that garbage last year. And now, once again, they have nothing to lose. And it's not because their quarterback's out. Half their defense is out. Starting cornerbacks are both out. They have other injuries on defense. So they're Super Bowl champions, so they feel like, I'm sure they have nothing to prove at this point. And that's dangerous. And they're back with Foles, who they're playing extremely well for.
True. Did you see that he missed a $1 million bonus by 1%?
Yeah, he missed 4 snaps, cost him $1 million.
That's crazy.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sure that the Eagles actually can pay him that money if they want. It'll count against the salary cap for next season, and that's the problem. When you put in these incentives into contracts, typically they count towards the next season's salary cap. So I'm
how
sure.
Many millions are in their cap?
I don't know where the Eagles are at underneath the cap.
How many are allowed?
Oh yeah, I don't know. There is a spending floor. I don't know what it is. I mean, teams, rarely come near that.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball's a little different. The revenue sharing there is much different. In the NFL, it's completely 100% split between teams. In baseball, it's not like that.
Right.
So
looks like Machado's heading leaving, huh? Think he's gonna be a Yankee?
I was hoping he'd be a Met.
Huh?
I wanted him to come to Queens.
Of course.
I hope the Mets bring back Murph. But I was convinced Machado would be back with the Dodgers.
No, we're saving our money for the guy from the Nationals.
Bryce, that's the wrong move. Bryce Harper, what did he bat? What was his batting average last year? Like 230?
It's a little low. But imagine him and LeBron in LA. Come on.
Bryce Harper could be the next Curtis Granderson. Now, Grandy was integral in the Yankees winning a World Series and the Mets getting to one. But during the regular season at times was an absolute hole in the lineup. And Bryce Harper is in danger of becoming that.
Really?
Bro, when you flirt with the Mendoza line, which the actual Mendoza line is like 210 or 215, whatever it is. It's not 200. It's not 200. The actual Mendoza line is higher than 200. But,
really?
Yeah. But most people think it's 200. Mendoza's career average is something like 215.
Who's Mendoza?
I don't even remember what team he played for. I can look that up real quick.
That's messed up.
When you flirt with the Mendoza line, and you're supposedly, and you're an MVP candidate or supposed one, I mean, you can't be flirting with the Mendoza line.
You're right.
I can't. The Mendoza line is not on Wikipedia. Here it is. Yeah, Mendoza's career average was 215. Yeah, most people mistake it for 200, but it's about his career average, 215.
What year? Oh, okay.
That's his career average. Then he played in the 70s.
How many years?
It doesn't really say here.
I mean, I can't imagine you playing that long if you only hit 215.
I would agree. Well, yeah, here on Wikipedia, it doesn't get too much into his career. Mario Mendoza.
Some useful information we'll always remember.
You might win some money at Jeopardy at some time. Mendoza played from 74 to 82.
And his first name was what?
Mario.
Super Mario.
He played with the Pirates, Texas, and Seattle. So the Mendoza line. His batting average never exceeded 245. And he regularly batted in what most people would refer to as on the interstate. See, that's where people get that confused. The Mendoza line is 215. When you're under 200, you're on the interstate because there's a big I in front of your average.
Really?
Yeah, like 185. It's like I-85. You're on the interstate.
Oh, okay.
But the expression has long been forgotten, unfortunately, and Mendoza line is all too commonly referred to as 200.
Well, Smino, it's been real, Daddy.
Yeah, but it's about time to put that cap on. Call it a night.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk the dogs.
Well, be good, man. We'll be in touch.
Good talking to you, man. I'll catch up with you, huh?
Absolutely, dude.
All right, Smino.
Go Eagles. Go Foles.
Heard that.
Cheers.